Malay Rachamim Shochein Bameromim.
Millions of people from across Europe were transported to the death camps of Auschwitz between the years of 1940 and 1945. An estimated 1.5 million men, women and children were murdered here. Auschwitz was primarily chosen for its location. At the heart of German-occupied Europe, its transportation links as a rail crossroads of the continent provided the Nazis with an excellent location in which to relocate its prisoners to. In its first instance, Auschwitz functioned as a concentration camp. However, in 1942, Auschwitz began to function in another way. It became a centre of mass extermination of European Jews. Over 200 sixth formers from across the northwest, including students from Wirral schools, took a day visit to the death camps of Auschwitz this week. The visit was the second stage of a three-part project organised by the Holocaust Educational Trust.
The Lessons from Auschwitz project is based on the premise that seeing something is different than hearing about it or reading it in a textbook. We give sixth form students from around the country the opportunity to visit Auschwitz, Birkenau, see for themselves the consequences of racism, prejudice, discrimination, anti-Semitism, and really consider how those lessons apply to their lives and to our society today so that we can move forward learning from this part of history and doing something in our world to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
When I first arrived at Auschwitz I, it was very surreal at first because there were images which you've seen so many times on TV or in pictures before, and to actually see them in real life, it was very surreal.
It was very overwhelming, and at first you couldn't quite make the connection between where you were and what had happened there, and so it wasn't confusing, but it didn't make sense in your mind.
The sense of being detached, I think, from it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's horrible because you don't imagine it to be as it is, and then you walk in and literally I was just like empty inside. I couldn't think of anything to say or feel, and I had to detach myself from it originally because it was just not pleasant at all.
My initial thoughts when I first went through the gates was the atmosphere of just, it was like almost the silence was deafening. It was so strange and just weird.
Yeah, my initial thoughts were pretty much the same, but you're still distant from, even though you were there, you didn't quite feel that what had happened actually happened.
Yeah. Two things that struck me were, first, the cabinet of human hair, which I just felt physically sick looking at it. 3 tons of human hair that's been there for a generation now. And then before you go and you're looking at the books and you see this pile of shoes and you just think, oh look, it's a pile of shoes, and then when you're there and you see them, this whole room of shoes, you just go, my God, this is the scale of what they did, and this is only part of what they did.
And also I think the room of hair,
yeah, definitely,
was quite emotional for everyone because at first we went in and it just looked like almost sheep wool or something because it was so, the colour and everything faded from it. But then if you looked closely, you'd see little like curls of blonde or something, and that was really strange.
And it was one of those things that you'd been told about and you'd heard about, but it's not actually until you're there that you're actually like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Realise the extent of it.
The most triggering moment was the gas chamber. It's just, you couldn't believe that 40,000 people were killed in that gas chamber. It was just unbelievable that something could happen like that, and that we were standing there.